Hello, folks, and welcome back. Uh, we are going to be looking at maps today, but we are going to be also um, going through the process of my full theory that I have for this book uh, and present it to you. One of the viewers was asking for that, and so we will be doing that today. And I'm absolutely looking forward to that because it's been quite a journey. So um, I do want to present it to you guys, so I can A, document it, and B, present it, and hopefully this theory will start to take some traction. I'm in touch with a retired linguist. I just gave him my theory, and my book has been out for a while, and I didn't want to start doing a lot of movement until the book had been out for a while and had been established. Now I'm doing the marketing, the due diligence that I need to do to get folks to start taking my theory very seriously and looking at what I present. So how did this start? I was looking at some maps from my other book, which is uh, the nine names of Mushia, which has been pulled together into a Celtic tradition book, a Celtic ritual tradition book. Excuse me. And so I'll be talking about that down the road. But right now, my big theory, my big important book is this one, Latin America. I was looking at maps and I ran across this one. A, because it's beautiful, and B, because it has Nova España and Nueva Galicia. And I live in Galicia. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's, New Galicia and New Spain over in Mexico. And I looked at the map like, this is beautiful. And then I took a real close look at the name of the map. And because I speak Basque, I know that et or eta, depending on how you pronounce it, is and in the Basque language, Euskadi. So this has Nova España, and I just took it for granted it was Nueva España y Nueva Galicia uh, in Spanish. But it wasn't until the et that I said, wait a minute, that's not Spanish. Eta is Basque. And so I went up and looked for the definition of et and was blown away to see that was Latin. And I looked at the Nova, and like, oh, Nova Galicia, Nova España. Wow, okay, what's this about? And then I noticed one of the towns is Compostela, but Compostela with the two L's, which makes a ya sound in Spanish. I don't know what it does in Latin, um, but in Spanish is Compostela is Santiago de Compostela. This wasn't even Santiago; it was just Compostela. And the Spanish love their Santiago, man. They love it. They love it. You go up and down the Americas, and you have Santiagos everywhere. And San Diego is English for Santiago. So, yeah, it was very, very, very interesting the name Compostela not have Santiago associated with it, and to have it like that. And then this got me. Uh, Chapalucum with the V instead of the U, and mare. Mare, definitely Latin. So I'm looking at this going, well, why is there Latin here? And so then I started using Google Translate to translate some of these words and names. And one of the ones that hit me right off the bat, I didn't even have to translate, but I did translate. Uh, Actually, I didn't see it until I used uh, Google Translate. The very, very famous town, Guadalajara, and you got to speak Spanish to be able to pronounce it correctly. Guadalajara. And there's a great song, Guadalajara. I'm not gonna sing it for you. That costs extra. So I used Google Translate and broke it up because I know now enough of these maps that if Latin is involved, you've got to break up the name because when they squeeze it together, they know the Latins knew their secrets. Okay, so they knew how to deconstruct a name to see what it really says. And here, Guadalajara, guard the jar. That's what Guadalajara means. So that hit me real hard. And I'd start doing some more translations, more translations. These people are completely, um, as they say, as wild, but more than that, savage. We have cannibals up here. We have people that are naked and are just hunters. And then here it says the land away from the mountains is basically savage land, unknown land. And then you don't see any other villages or cities except these outside uh, of the region, but inside you see just a mass civilization. And then it hit me harder than anything else. And that was this is the west side of Mexico being developed. Here's Mexico City, more or less. And there's nothing on the east side. This is the Pacific Ocean side, not the Gulf of Mexico side. Everybody kind of looks like this, looks at this map and just assumes that the Gulf of Mexico is here, and they don't really study it. This is like, oh yeah, because Mexico's all populated and stuff. So, but few people have taken the time, interest, or even need to study it. And I got here down a rabbit hole. And the last thing that really screams, and this just became discovered with the help of AI, is that there are only two languages on this map, just two languages: the Aztec language, which is Nahuatl, and Latin. There is no Spanish on this map. So this screams that there's a story here. Something has happened. And since I live in Galicia, I live in an area that was part of Rome, part of the Roman Empire, and I see things much more differently than the native folks here do. All of our cathedrals are Roman basilicas, built by the Romans, Roman basilicas, and our churches, our old churches, our old stone churches, are old Roman temples, and each village had a temple. There's still questions about that, with what the use of those actually were. But it went from being a Roman temple to being a Roman church, from being a Roman basilica to being a Roman cathedral. And there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So I'm seeing cathedrals here. I am seeing everything Latin. And then the other smaller town names with little perfect circles are all the ancient Aztec language. Everything else is uncivilized, and everything surrounding the major towns, the major Latin towns, that have, again, cathedrals and crosses. So, by all tokens, by all tokens, sorry, guys, by all tokens, this indicates that the Romans used the cross. And at the bare minimum, they were Christian. So the Roman Catholics on the east side were Roman Catholics here in um, in the west side of Mexico. Now Compostela doesn't have a cross; it has a direct spire, which to me is interesting. Some are spires straight up, and then some have crosses, and I'm sure there's an explanation for that. And so with this red here, I really didn't look at the cities too much, but I got a second map, second version of the map, and there are multiple copies of this map out in the world. There are multiple copies of this. So this was a how did we get our hands on it? I guess is the question right now. How did we get it? We got it because the copper plate, the original copper plate that this is based on, survived somewhere in a collection. The copper plate, okay, not not a copy of the map that was replicated. That's not what happened here because there's just too many versions. There's just too many versions of this map. This one is dated 1662 from the same cartographer, and this one's dated 1665. And this one, although it does have, um, come on, some red covering it, and I don't understand what the red covering it is. You do have the circle there, which indicates a city, and I guess the line indicates where the city is. So the circle on these little towers and on the city indicates here, this is the circle. And then I'm guessing that the line indicates where the exact city is. I don't see any roads. There's a little path here, but I don't see any famous Roman roads. And that to me is really interesting. That's when you go on the you go deep down the rabbit hole that a lot of folks are not ready to listen to just yet. But we will be talking about it um, throughout our discussions. So that's my fundamental theory: is these are not from 1662. This is when the Romans disappeared from the west of Rome. It wasn't a total collapse. East Rome existed just fine, and by the time that time came, there was East Rome and West Rome. They had two separate ruling bureaucracies, emperors, leaders, senates, families, everything. And not only did they have two of them for one side and the other, but that is also redundancy. So if something happens to the Eastern Emperor, the Western Emperor can maintain the empire until they dipped. They just disappeared. You can trace everything about the Eastern Roman Empire, everything. But the Western Empire, uh, don't know what happened to the Senate. We don't know what happened to the emperors. We don't know anything of the Western Empire. What they say is it collapsed. What I'm saying is no, it did not collapse. They just snuck away. They went to a part of they went to a part of the world that they knew, technologically speaking, the Europeans couldn't get to them. Now, is this because the Roman Empire, the Western Roman Empire, knew how to navigate the Magellan Straits, or did they have a um, a Panama Canal already set up? You know, how do they get over here on the western side and have ports? Okay, it's not that they just came over land. No, there are ports here. Haluscus portus, portus. You just can't get more Latin than portus. So there for your layman is a Latin word uh, laid out there, and yeah, there are different ports here, and and this is Las Monjas Unsuala Deserta, and this is the defiled monks. Uh, 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 Not monks. Oh, monjas, nuns. The defiled nuns. So that's got to have a story. So they had nuns. The Latins did. Um, yeah, there's a lot of history that we have not been told, and I would bet you a lot of money that when the Latins finally got everything set up over in Mexico, that they got their Roman brethren in Europe to burn, baby, burn, burn all the records, get rid of the Western Roman Empire, every bit of it. And the only thing that really survived was copper plates, and then those were redated. So, um, yeah, that's the Dark Ages. When the Romans went, the Dark Ages entered, and it was a time that was truly lit by fires, and everything was taken as far down intellectually as possible. No education, only education that you're going to get is from the Roman Catholic Church and the Jesuits, who have great fame, great fame for rewriting history because they had the universities, they had the educational systems, but they had the fire of Ignatius. And Ignatius is fire, is to burn. And Ignatius de Loyola is the founder of um, the Jesuit order. As it's told to us traditionally, he thought about it while he was recovering from some wounds in northern Spain in our Basque region. He is said to be Basque, and Ignatius is a very Basque name, Ignacio. And by the way, there are a lot of Basque words that are very similar to Latin. There's a lot of Basque words that have a lot of relationships to Latin words. I'm not going to start that fight with my family, but we're very proud. I'm half Basque, by the way. Um, Half Basque, and my father is American Irish, 2 or 3 generations removed from the original family that came over from Ireland. So the Basque, uh, I believe, this is my theory, is the there's a lot of fame that the Spaniards were supported by silver. There was just a ton of Spain, and then they started to attribute it to uh, the the conquistadores, the conquests, when when the Spanish came over and started settling up cities here, and that's when the silver started coming in. No, it started coming in a lot sooner. And there are several silver mines here. So this is a silver mine, and it says that the greatest quantity of silver comes from this mine. Now, I want you to notice this, and I just noticed this right now. I mean, there's just everything on this map just is so interesting. It's top notch, okay? And this is a great silver mine. So obviously they're using water and not roads to transport the silver. And all right, we had a disconnection and a reconnection. So there's going to be two versions of this video. Um, so yes, I think the Freemasons were set up by the Roman Latins, London, and that's the financial capital of the world. That in New York, although currently being challenged by U.S. President Donald Trump. So this is a an absolute unique process that was set up, and not having a way to speak for it except for Spain, and then all the wars between the French, Spanish, um, and the English. You know, that was a way to launder the money that they were getting from the Americas. I mean, it there was so much silver in Spain at one point. Tradition has it that it almost became worthless. There was just nothing to spend it on, you know. And so, silver in Spain, it got very devalued. So, I think, yeah, that was money being pumped from Western. The streaming software keeps connecting and reconnecting. So, sorry about that, guys. Not sure what's happening. So, but there'll be a recorded version that I'll put up of this. That'll be the entire version, uninterrupted. Uh, so there's more maps that show the spread of the Latins into the Americas, and one of the best indicators of the Latins being in the Americas is a name nobody really understands where it came from, and that's California. Big, beautiful California. Nobody knows where it came from. Yep, I have been able to translate it from Latin. So this makes a great case, an absolute great case, quite possibly the Western Roman Empire establishing the Americas over here before France got over here, before the British got. As we get to the end of this episode, I think that over time, the Latins, the Latin language, was starting to be learned by the population, and I think the Latins at some point wanted to. Uh, Actually, Great Britain was was finally conquered by the Vikings and from the Nordic peoples. So the actual Old English sounds very Flemish, almost Dutch, but not as harsh. No, more Flemish, because Dutch is very influenced by the Germans. So no, very Flemish, very soft. I've documentaries, I've watched TV shows. Very famous episodes of the Time Team has a scholar who studies is able to. Oh, this is gonna be a nightmare. So the English. Sorry, I'm thinking because the streams keep connecting and reconnecting. Now it's